Hello there, folks. The media hysteria over Greenpeace protesting at Rishi Sunak's North Yorkshire home is absolutely bloody typical. Greenpeace decided to stage the protest after Rishi Sunak concluded the best way of victory at the next general election is to appeal to petrol heads, climate change deniers, and net zero skeptics. He's attempting to con the public into believing drilling for as much North Sea oil as possible will make a jot of difference to our energy bills. But of course, that is a blatant lie, because drilling is contracted to private business who sell the oil onto the international market, from which we have to buy it back. Yet another wonderful benefit to privatisation. We are now going to sit through a truly agonising segment from Storm Huntley's Channel 5 show, where the entire panel demonstrate the level of ignorance we are up against. This protest hurt absolutely nobody. The house was empty because Rishi Sunak and family are away on holiday. Areeba Hamed of Greenpeace was invited onto the show to defend her position. Let's take a look. Try to stay calm.
Well, let's bring in Areeba Hamed, Co-Executive Director of Greenpeace. Areeba, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, is this something that you were aware was going to happen? Did you sign this off?
Yes, I did. And I think that we were also aware, like the rest of the country, that the Prime Minister and his family were not going to be at home. In fact, this morning when our activists went there, they knocked on the door. There was no answer. There was no visible security. And we have Greenpeace labels behind all the activists taking action. So this was done with utter concern for safety and with meticulous care. And the reason why it was done is because Rishi Sunak, the decision that he has made to max out North Sea oil and gas is a personal one. The buck stops with him. He's the Prime Minister, and he has decided in the middle of a climate emergency to actually pour more fuel on this fire.
But you're going direct to his fire. As Shay said, you could have went to number 10 Downing Street. That would have been a bigger political statement, would it not, than going to his private residence? That, as Shay says, everybody knows what that now looks like. It's like
Protest at number 10 Downing Street, Storm says. Are these people really this stupid? A normal person, a pleb, if you will, cannot get within shouting distance of number 10 Downing Street. It is gated off with a major police presence, as we witnessed when that car crawled towards the gate and made the slightest of contact with it. The police descended on the place like the crime of the century had been committed. So I wonder how much joy Greenpeace would have attempting to get through those gates to protest outside number 10. They would likely all be shot dead.
Going to his private residence. That, as Shay says, everybody knows what that now looks like. It's identifiable.
Where the Prime Minister lives was not a secret anyway. And again, the important bit here is that he is not in the country, and this is a personal decision. We have also in the past. We've also in the past delivered petitions and hand-ins outside number 10.
I would like to interject if I can, Areeba. I think it's important that we state some facts. On a global international platform, it was not known where his children and his wife live.
Oh my God. You know, the more I watch this programme, the further I am convinced they are in some kind of biggest moron competition. This woman is Shay Kaur Grewal, and she is one half of the husband and wife duo Sonny and Shay, and a presenter on BBC Radio London. I didn't know this person before I watched this clip, but it's fair to say our relationship is off to a rocky start. On a global international platform, Shay claims, it was not known where Sunak and his family reside. I'm not entirely sure what she is getting at here. I think she is suggesting Greenpeace is giving intelligence on the Prime Minister's whereabouts to dangerous overseas groups. But seeing as Sunak's address is available from a simple Google search, I think the Sunak family need not worry about people who cannot use a search engine. Picture now for a second a terrorist group gathered in a strategy meeting, and one says, "Guys, you'll never guess what. We finally know where Sunak lives. And it's all thanks to Greenpeace. Ridiculous.
You have now let the whole world know that actually this is where he resides. And I think for many parents, it's not about the adult. It's actually whatever work you are doing, fine, target that person in their place of where they work, not their home. Because now, not only do the world know, anyone who doesn't like him, his children, the fact that they are people of colour, are going to target that property.
Could I just actually say, I very much agree with Shay, but I would say there's a more fundamental point here, Areeba, and I think you should consider your position as a consequence of this. You have endorsed, so it appears to me, criminal behaviour. This is an act of criminality. You've trespassed on somebody's property. You have somehow, it may only be a temporary thing that you've done, but you have desecrated, albeit in a temporary way, somebody's property, somebody's private property, and it doesn't matter. I appreciate the point as being a parent. There'll be a lot of people that are watching who aren't parents, who don't have that family concern. You are basically endorsing the right for somebody to trespass on somebody's private property and do what they like because you don't agree with their policies. It would be wrong to do it as Downing Street as well, because again, it would be an act of trespass. But fundamentally, for somebody like yourself to say, we signed it off, I think you should seriously consider what you're doing and what your position is.
It's worth bearing in mind, we are watching a woman-dominated panel here. They have benefited from the sacrifices of protesting women who came before them. The suffragettes specifically engaged in some of the more extreme and violent forms of protest, including bombings and arson. And I doubt Angela Epstein here would be arguing against her equal right to sit in that very chair and gob off like any man can. This is why education is important. It is important to understand the positive long-term impacts of protest. And if I were a woman, knowing the extent other women have gone to just so I had some kind of equality with men, I cannot picture myself going onto television to argue protesters who trespass is some kind of morally outrageous offence. These people here on this panel are so comfortable with their lives, they have lost all perspective of what protest is and what it is supposed to achieve. Unfortunately, it is the case protesters have to bend and break the law in order to be heard. It has been that way since the beginning of time. So the holier-than-thou crap, like you were hearing just now, shouldn't be resonating with you in any way.
Areeba, come back on that. So Angela's saying actually that this is a step-downable offence, Areeba. Is that something you would consider now?
This is something we take responsibility for. And as far as the safety is concerned, let me repeat, this was national news yesterday that neither the Prime Minister nor his family are in that house.
What about the
criminality? We knocked on the
criminality?
door, we said who we were. We will take responsibility for the actions. The police on the scene, we are cooperating with them. The point about allowing hundreds of new North Sea oil and gas.
Answer the question,
we need to
Areeba.
think about the impact of that and the fact that the Prime Minister yesterday said he 100% backs that decision.
Okay, I hear you're going to... Areeba, sorry, I hear you're going to take responsibility for the criminality involved in the act, but what about Angela's point that actually what you've done here could encourage other people to do the same? So in essence, you're encouraging people to act criminally.
You've given the green light to people breaking the law. You've given the green light.
Let Areeba come back.
No, we aren't. We have done peaceful protests for over 50 years as a part of our campaigning. We do lobbying. Other than peaceful protests, we also meet with political representatives. So this is an invitation to hold people in power to account for their decisions. And you can do that by writing a letter to the Prime Minister. We have a petition out. Please sign it. And sometimes when things go too far, in the middle of the time where the planet is literally boiling, adding more and more oil and gas to that situation is I would say, playing fast and loose with our future. This is why we needed to take it to the Prime Minister's home.
So it's okay to endorse criminality?
Are going to be felt in our homes as well.
So it's okay to endorse criminality?
Okay, Shay, you want to...
At this point of the debate, if I were the Greenpeace spokesperson, I would be seriously questioning what the point of this is. Because it is not a debate. It's yet another 3-on-1 mugging from people who do not believe protest should be anything other than standing quietly in a corner somewhere, making as little of a scene as possible.
I do want to ask you a question. So I don't think there's any debate here with regards to the facts, what the UN are saying. I don't think anyone on this panel is disputing global boiling, as you so rightly stated. How would you feel if 10 or 15 people rocked up at your personal residence, as you are representing Greenpeace, to revolt against what you have done? Would you be comfortable with protesters outside your personal property?
Tell you what, if I was
Can you answer the question?
Ultimately responsible for the decisions of a country and took terrible decisions that were economically, environmentally, financially terrible, you could hold me to account 7 days a week.
So can people come to your house and protest in this same way if they disagree with your protest?
If I were the Prime Minister, you could.
But you're representing Greenpeace.
Hold on,
supposed to be held accountable.
You have to accept.
You could hold me accountable.
Areeba, hold on. You have to accept, Shay, that the Prime Minister isn't the average person. The Prime Minister is the person making the laws.
Absolutely.
And so he is the person, presumably, that these environmental groups should
But
target.
is there not, in terms of case law, therefore, that hypothesis sets a precedent? One is suggesting that if the Prime Minister is unlike regular people like you and I, then the rules of legal engagement don't apply. So it's okay to let his tyres down. It's okay to do other things that you wouldn't be allowed to do with a normal person because he runs the country or is a democratically elected leader. What Areeba seems to fail to acknowledge, or is choosing not to, or maybe the line isn't clear, is I have asked her, and Shay has in a different sort of way, if it's okay to endorse criminal behaviour because it's the Prime Minister. It's a very simple question. I'd love to know what the answer is, because maybe I'm misunderstanding
Areeba.
What I'm endorsing is holding people who are making decisions that are terrible for all of us to account. This is one way of doing it. This is one way of doing it, to take the message to his home. The impacts of climate, we are going to feel in our homes as well. This is a personal choice that he has made. Therefore, our decision to deliver this message to him personally, to bring it home, as it were. Whose side is he on? Is he on the side of big oil and their burgeoning obscene profits? Or is he on the side of ordinary people who are struggling to pay their bills?
So is it okay to let his tyres down?
Choice.
Is it okay to let his tyres down because of all the things you've just
We're
said?
not having that conversation. We are
It just gets even more ridiculous. This is mind-numbingly dopey and extremely unpleasant. She is trying to equate a political protest and publicity stunt with somebody committing petty crimes like slashing tyres and smashing windows. Storm is doing an absolutely pathetic job of moderating this, because her two panelists are quite frankly out of control. They are talking complete rubbish on an epic scale.
having a conversation about bringing a message home,
Areeba,
which is about the decision he has taken on North Sea oil and gas.
Areeba,
and that is what we're questioning.
With the greatest of respect, that is rather splitting hairs. I appreciate the passion of your argument. I understand, as Shay said herself, this is not about the nature of protecting the planet. Forget about that for a moment. We all are in agreement we have to protect the planet.
And what you're witnessing now from Angela Epstein, and we saw it earlier too, but I failed to pick up on it, is typical Tory mentality. Her private property, or the property of the Prime Minister in this instance, is more precious than the future of the planet. For people like Angela Epstein, it's really hard for them to get out of their individualistic ways and embrace the collective, because they are the ones who benefited so greatly from Tory policies that promoted individualism for some, whilst the rest of us were stuck in the daily grind. So yes, Angela, the planet is burning, the planet is suffering, but no, the roof tiles of the Prime Minister's house are not more important. Right, I think I'll end this one here, but make no mistake, this was a total mess. Storm allowed the debate to be hijacked by two people who were determined to gaslight the Greenpeace spokesperson. I hated every single second of it. Let's hope there are more protests like this one to come from Greenpeace, because, let's face it, if you're pissing off Angela Epstein, you're on the right path. Thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.